Okay, so this is a video. It's raining here, so it's pretty miserable. We hadn't seen the sunshine in hardly 4 or 5 days or a week. Anyway, so I talked with Eric at AR North America, and I'm honestly looking for a regulator that makes this air blast sprayer work. So this isn't my only air blast sprayer. I got a bigger one and other sprayers over there. But anyway, I've got this Unigreen Airblast sprayer, and originally it came with an AR 813 pump, which is still on here, and it came with a regulator or a control of an RVA 0600, and I was trying to kind of fix the control. I got a broken piece on that control, and evidently, I mean, I haven't been able to find this piece. It's kind of goes inside the regulator. It's an orange plastic piece that kind of regulates the flow. So I'm looking, I guess, unless you can tell me if I can get parts for the RVA 0600, which I'd love to get, but unless I can, I've been looking at retrofitting it with another control valve, and the VDR 50 is kind of what goes with, they say, what goes with the AR 813 pump. So anyway, my problem is, and I mentioned this to Eric, and he said take some pictures, but I thought it's too complicated for pictures, so I thought I'd just take a video here and post it on the YouTube. So anyway, the problem is, I think I can, these hoses that come with it are nice hydraulic hoses, and they got nice ends, and I can't do hose barbs on these steel hoses. You just can't clamp them, and they won't stick and stuff like that. So I'm kind of stuck with the ends that I've got unless I try to replace the hoses. But the problem, if I replace the hoses, the issue becomes I got the same ends on the other end, where they connect, and so I have to try and find fittings for that end as well. So I'm really not solving my problem to try and replace the hoses. So I'm kind of stuck with the hoses at some point that I got, and most of the hoses I can make work. So give you an example, this end here had 1/2-inch valves that are just identical to this. I threw these valves away because they were broken handles and not very effective, and not working. But these are the same exact stuff. These are 1/2-inch valves, and so I can kind of make them work. They're kind of weird because this end here is honestly a straight thread. So it's 1/2 inch by 14 threads per inch, and so you can kind of make this work. It's these ends that screw into those hoses, those valves are kind of weird because they're tapered ends. Here, I'm going to show you here on this hose. So they're tapered ends. I don't know if you can see that. It's a 30-degree taper. It's a hydraulic hose, and it works, but it's really not made for it. But it does work, and Unigreen, evidently, they were just kind of throwing crap together. But anyway, it does work. So so I'm not too worried about that. I can, add these valves and crank this stuff down and make it work. So that's the part I'm not too worried about. The intake is a little bit of the intake here is a little bit of the big deal. So that's one of the big deals. So this female portion of it is actually a 1-inch by 11.5 threads per inch taper thread. It's just a regular 1-inch pipe taper. It's a standard 1-inch pipe. And then they crank this Boss fitting in here, which is actually 12 threads per inch with an O-ring Boss, and they cranked it in there and it golded the threads, but it worked. I mean, it was kind of a crappy way to do it. Unigreen was a shitty operation in my opinion, to do this way, but it works, okay, and pardon my language, sorry. And then this right here is also this Boss 11.5 threads per inch by 1 inch, and so it, you know, if I can get back to, with bushings and stuff, back to the 1 inch national, you know, pipe thread taper, I can crank all this in and make it work. And then it's just superfluous information here, but it's got a, this is a really odd dog here. It's got a 3/4 inch thread. It measures 1 1/16, like 1.031. So it's basically 1 1/16, but it's 16 threads per inch, which is really weird. There's just hardly anything made like that. 16 threads per inch on a 3/4 inch fitting is super weird. But I can reuse this fitting as long as I can get to a 1 inch fitting here. I can kind of reuse all this and this to make this happen. I mean, this right here, I'll crank this off and show you. This is the intake, like I say, and it's got just a gasket fitting, but it's a freaking weird deal. I don't even know what that is. It's something, you know, these Italians, you know, made or something, probably formulated. So that's kind of a deal. But like I say, the issue here is if I can get this to, as just one more emphasis, if I can get this to national pipe thread, 1 inch female, I can make all this work, and I can make a bracket longer. You know, I've worked in a machine shop with mills and lathes, and I can weld just about anything. So I can make all this work and extend it out or whatever, but I need the intake to accept this fitting, you know, and it's either a Boss fitting or, you know, 1 inch Boss fitting, or I can crank it in and do what they did and just do a 1 inch female national pipe thread. So that's the one thing that I need. And then the other thing that's kind of weird is the discharge right here. I mean, this old thing, you know, does like this to turn on and off the discharge, but this discharge fitting is weird. I just, you know, it's kind of loose because I just put it back together so you could see. But anyway, this discharge fitting, I think, is let's see, I'll measure. It's kind of metric stuff, but let's see here. Zero this out. So I got a nice SPI caliper here, so I think it measures 30. I'm gonna just double check it. Yeah, it's basically 30 millimeters, and I can squeeze on 1 1/4 inch pipe. I cannot squeeze on a 1 inch pipe. So a lot of these VDR 50s have a 1 inch you know, thing, and I can't squeeze on a 1 inch and 1/4 pipe. And this is the same deal here, and I can't change this out. I mean, this is like, you know, trying to find that is nearly impossible. So if I can get a you know, a 30 millimeter, you know, hose barb on the discharge, that would be great. And if I can get something that's got a, you know, this 1 inch national pipe thread, that would be great. Or a 1 inch Boss would be perfect, obviously, but I doubt there's a 1 inch Boss. But anyway, if somebody could help me, you know, I'd really like to use these same nice hydraulic fittings that they got on this machine.